What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon
What's up? What's up?
and LeVon Maynard.
What up? Welcome to the show.
What is going on? So continue to tune in throughout the week. It's a very exciting week. We're getting closer to the holiday break coming up. So definitely tune in this week, and next week we'll have content for you. Then we're going to take a couple weeks off. As always, Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesdays are discussion. This week's discussion, we actually are interviewing Mr. Johnny Jones Jr. He is a podcaster, a YouTuber. He also is the co-founder and the president of a nonprofit called Tech for All Foundation. It's a really good interview. Definitely tune in for that one. And then Thursday may or may not have an Ask Us SP. It will have some variety. Either it'll be clips from previous ones, or I'll have somebody on the show. And then Friday, talk about everything else as we gear up towards the new Spider-Man flick. I'm super excited. But with all that being said, we have a very topical topic. Is that the way you say it?
Yeah, maybe we're applying some topical ointment.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. But, of some events that happened this weekend. So I without further ado, I give it to LeVon.
Yes, sir. So we got a pretty cool article today. This is from Cybereason. And title of the article is called "Cybereason Releases a Vaccine to Prevent Exploitation of Apache Log4Shell Vulnerability," and it has a CVE number next to it. But so essentially, this article is describing. Recently, they had a exploit of a popular Apache program. It's basically it's called Apache Log4J, and essentially what it is basically like an open source Java logging library that's widely used in a range of software applications and services around the world, and it basically just like helps people maintain, I guess, manage some backend software with their application backend libraries and just the kind of the developer stuff in the backend that manages the software. But essentially, there's a vulnerability that was discovered that would allow threat actors to take control of any Java-based internet-facing server and engage in remote code execution attacks. And essentially, this is just a vulnerability that's out there that people are taking advantage of. And apparently, exploiting the flaws is fairly trivial. It says here that an attacker can exploit the vulnerability by simply sending a malicious code string that gets logged by Log4j. And at that point, the exploit will allow the attacker to load arbitrary Java code and take control of the server. So it's like it seems like it's very simple. It's very easy to activate. And apparently they were taking advantages. The article doesn't really describe as far as like, how many companies, or how many users, or places that were affected by this vulnerability. But it seems like it was such an easy exploit that people were able to discover it and take advantage of it. But at the same time, this group called Cybereason, where they released a vaccine, as they're calling it. I guess it's kind of like COVID now. We got a bunch of vaccines out there, so they're calling this instead of like a patch. It's kind of like a vaccine. So take it for what it is. But essentially, it's a simple patch, and all it requires is basic Java skills to implement, and it's freely available to any organization. And they posted it up on their the GitHub, so any company can download it and implement it. And apparently this vulnerability, it's only affecting the versions 2.0 through 2.1, 2.14 or 2.14.1. So I guess if you're above that, I saw that they do have a new version, like a 2.15. I believe that's actually safe at the moment. There's no need to, like, I guess, additionally upload or install this like patch, this vaccine. But nonetheless, it's one of those things that, as we've discussed before, there's always some sort of vulnerability that's going to be discovered with applications. I mean, we've got people that are sitting in their basements. We've got people overseas, people in America that are just waiting and ready to just like exploit, holes in operating systems and softwares. So we just got to do our best to try to keep things up to date, and keep your eye on some of these cyber websites, cybersecurity websites, and things of that nature to keep abreast of any kind of new revelation that may affect some of your systems that you may be working with. But yeah, this story is pretty straightforward. I mean, they found this exploit. They see how people were able to take advantage of it, and they pretty much locked it down with a fix action. So it's pretty straightforward, and I'm glad that they were able to get it handled. Hopefully, these companies out here that are kind of tracking this information are aware. And hopefully, they have some cybersecurity representatives that are doing a good job and keep a track of this kind of stuff and able to implement their fix action right away. But I guess with that, did you guys have some thoughts on this? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
So I know this is definitely Shannon's wheelhouse, so I don't want to step on his toes before he gets into it.
So here's the thing. So for me, when I looked at this, right, and I could be wrong on this, I thought Apache and Java were something we were trying to phase out from, not necessarily phase out from, but like, especially with Apache, it's one of those things that it's kind of kept up for like legacy systems and things like of that nature is what I thought, right? So like this goes to show that stuff we talked about in the past, like when you have older stuff and you refuse to like go a different way, right? Whether it be IIS or whatever. And I know this kind of goes into like the Java lane as well, right? You got to be careful with this stuff. So like this is one of those things where it's something that's really simple that can affect things on a larger scale than what were initially intended, right? Like this could end up being something that's more of a supply chain issue. Like we've seen the supply chain stuff like tear off on us, right? Like SolarWinds just a year ago, right? That was December of last year, I think. Am I right on that? Was
yes, yes,
yeah?
yep. Because we just got started. I was like, oh,
yeah,
we got something to talk about.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
Right.
like you could run into that again because we're not getting away from things that we talk about phasing out and then we don't really follow through with it, right? Because it's easier to stay on, these older things, right? It's easier to stay on Apache. And again, I know Apache is out there because I want to say in the article it referenced it was something like a third of the web servers out there or something like that. And I was like, man, I just didn't realize
that's what blew my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was so far reaching for something that we were trying to kind of get away from. But this shows why you got to keep up with technology, right? Because the guys that don't have the best intentions are the ones that are out there looking at this stuff, right? It's not even, they really don't have to try hard anymore because it's not like you have a lot of, let me not say it's not like you don't have, but you have companies out there that are just like, this works for now. We're in a routine. We know how to make this work. We're not uncomfortable. We don't want to rock the boat, possibly lose any money. And then they stick with this older technology that stuff like this ends up happening to them. You know what I mean? So now they're scrambling. You know what I'm saying? We just got to get away from that. We got to have that mindset of how do we stay ahead of this, right? It's kind of like, it depends on your stance of it, right? It's kind of like Minority Report, right? Like, how do you get ahead of this, right? Do you get ahead of those criminals before they do whatever? Is it a brown ball? Is it a red ball? If you haven't seen Minority Report, that doesn't make sense. But, but like what are we gonna do here? Like if we see something, if we're doing our due diligence and we see something like, hey, I think this could be a problem, even though there's no problem right now. You know what I mean? This could be something that costs us $500,000 a day. Like this is my red ball, right? This is what I need to be concentrating my energies on. Should I upgrade? Should I go from Apache to IIS or whatever the situation may be, right? But these are the things we got to start doing, man. Like we can't just stay comfortable and say because nothing has happened, I don't expect it to. Because now they're scrambling, right? Like because it was a 0 day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
You're scrambling right there at the last bit trying to get this fixed. So I don't know, man. We got to get out of this mindset. We just have to get out of this mindset. And I've seen it in a few different places where it's just like, well, this works right now like this, so this is how we're going to keep it. We can't keep
right
it like that.
Right. No, I agree with you. So I don't have very much to contribute to the conversation that hasn't already been said, but I was very surprised that 1/3 of all public facing web servers was vulnerable. Like 1/3 in the entire world public facing web servers is vulnerable. Because I was like, yeah, I thought we were already off of that. But it's the same thing that happened to the National Health Service when they were all running like XP. It's just like people are still running that. It's just if you don't have the resources, you don't have the people with the with the know-how and the knowledge, like, and as well as you just don't have awareness. Like this is what happens. Like lots of hilarious memes were generated. Like you see exhibit in memes about the RCE attack. But yeah, it just goes to show you that it just something as simple as I saw somebody on LinkedIn posted, like, this is what entry-level positions are for. Like, who is tracking the assets? Like, people are scrambling to figure out, like, am I affected? You should have a log. You should already have a Excel spreadsheet at least of what systems are running what, right? And this is what a person who is getting to the IT field could be doing, as opposed to telling them they need a CISP to work help desk. Like, this is an actual good job to get somebody feet wet in the IT, and they could already be telling you what our assets are running. So it just goes to show that there are lots of jobs available, or there should be at least, to track stuff like this. So very topical. I'm glad we were able to talk about it while it was still in the news. Hopefully nothing crazy happens during the holiday break. I might have to have an emergency episode. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I'm glad to get you guys' take on it. So with that being said, continue to tune in throughout the week, Monday through Friday. Hit us up on all of our social medias by hitting up the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall the other side of the firewall. Hey, do this again, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com. Also hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and IG. And LeVon, where can they find you at?
Yes, sir. And they can feel free to hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.
Take care.